They thought she was just another operator. The quiet one, always watching, never speaking. 6 months on the team, no one had ever seen her fire a single shot. Then the forest turned into a killing ground. 9 enemy snipers hidden 30 m up. Automatic fire from every direction. 2 teammates bleeding out. QRF 40 minutes away. That's when Maya Chen slid behind a fallen log, raised her rifle, and eliminated 15 hostiles in 14 minutes. Not a single miss. This is the story of the sniper they called Low Light. The operator who proved that quiet doesn't mean weak. It means ready. And when the moment comes, she doesn't miss. Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? Heroes like her deserve to be remembered. And if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive. 6 months on the team. Quiet, polite, never fired a single combat shot. The kind of teammate who blended into the background, followed orders, carried her weight, and said almost nothing. But that was before the forest turned into a killing ground. The first bullet tore through Chief Jackson's shoulder before anyone even heard the shot. The second cracked past Brooks's ear, splintering a pine trunk inches from his face. Then the forest erupted automatic bursts. High-caliber reports echoing from above. 9 enemy snipers hidden 30 meters up, firing from a canopy so thick it swallowed light. Eagle platoon dove for cover. Branches exploded overhead. Bark shredded under gunfire. The air filled with dust and the sharp tang of cordite. Petty Officer Sofia Martinez screamed over comms. Thompson is hit. Chest wound. He's bleeding out. Captain Alex Rivera tried to raise command, voice cutting through static. This is Eagle Actual. We are under sniper fire. Multiple elevated shooters request immediate QRF and air support. The reply was ice cold. QRF 40 minutes out. Air grounded. You're on your own. 40 minutes. Thompson wouldn't last 10. Jackson was already losing blood fast. The platoon was pinned in a perfect kill box, trapped between the trees and the unseen. Every branch, every movement drew fire. Jesus, I can't even see them, Brooks shouted, emptying a burst into the canopy. Bullets tore through leaves, but hit nothing. Then a voice cut through the chaos. Steady, calm, deliberate. Captain, Maya said, low and even. Give me 30 seconds of suppressive fire. Aim high, loud, not accurate. Just make them keep their heads down. Rivera blinked. You what? I can find them, but I need 30 seconds of noise and no one talking. Can you do that? Even in the chaos, something in her tone made everyone freeze. She wasn't pleading. She was certain. Jackson, bleeding and pale, managed a rough laugh. It's her, or we die, sir. Rivera hesitated 1 heartbeat, then keyed his mic. Eagle, 30 seconds, full auto. On my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. Gunfire roared. 12 rifles unleashed chaos into the canopy. Shell casings clattered on wet ground. The air turned white with smoke and shredded bark. She was hunting. In the lull that followed, Rivera's voice came again. Half disbelief, half awe. Chun, you're a sniper. Through the static, her voice came in cold. No, sir. I'm a counter-sniper. The forest seemed to inhale at those words. Martinez's frantic voice broke through the silence. Thompson is crashing 6 minutes, maybe less. Rivera slammed his fist against the ground. Chun, do whatever you have to do. Take them all. Maya adjusted her scope, eyes locked on the canopy. Copy that, sir. She slid another round into the chamber, the bolt snapping forward with mechanical precision. Her voice dropped to a whisper only the forest could hear. 9 targets, 1 shooter. Let's get to work. The forest had gone silent again. Too silent. No echo, no movement, just the soft hiss of wind through shattered leaves. Maya Chen lay flat behind the log, cheek pressed to the stock of her M24. The forest's heartbeat matching her own. Her scope swept the canopy. Every inch of it looked the same. Green shadows, twisting branches, shifting light. But to Maya, pattern spoke. Wind pushed from west to east at 3 miles per hour. Elevation 35 degrees, humidity high. She didn't need perfect conditions. She just needed the rhythm. Eagle, we've got 0 visibility up here, Brooks said. We can't even tell where the shots came from. Stay low, Rivera replied. Let her work. Maya adjusted half a mil down, a quarter right. Through the foliage, a thin vertical line betrayed itself. A rifle barrel painted green, cutting through curves of bark. She squeezed between breaths. The first round hit dead center. The shooter fell forward, breaking branches on the way down. Leaves fluttered. Silence swallowed everything again. 2 down. She exhaled slowly, rechambered, and crawled backward. Never twice from the same spot. Training from another life guided every move. Mud smeared her hands. Rain dripped from her helmet. She moved 30 left where a cluster of stones formed a low ridge. As she settled in, a bullet slammed into the dirt inches from her leg. The impact kicked up earth, the sound cracking like thunder. She rolled behind a route, heartbeat spiking once, then steady again. The shooter had tracked her movement but misjudged the angle. "Captain," she whispered. "Return fire on my mark." Short bursts, 2 seconds. "Copy," Rivera said. Eagle unleashed another storm. Rifles roared. Muzzle flashes slicing through smoke. The canopy lit up with chaos. And in that noise, Maya found her third target. A silhouette crouched along a thick branch, trying to relocate. A just drop by 0. 1 clean pull. The enemy fell sideways. Rifle spinning into the fog below. 3 down. Martinez's voice cracked over comms. "Thompson is fading. Pulse weak. He's got maybe 10 minutes. Then we end this in 9, Maya muttered. The forest responded with a whisper of movement. Another sniper slid across a branch, barely visible through gaps in the leaves. Maya tracked him mid-stride, leading by half a body width. The shot hit before the sound reached him. He dropped like a rag doll. 4 down. Rivera's voice came back, a mix of disbelief and control. "Chun, how in God's name are you seeing them?" "I'm not," she said quietly. "I'm reading the trees." For a few long seconds, nothing moved. Then a shadow detached from the canopy, climbing down fast. He was abandoning position. Smart move. Wrong timing. At 15 from the ground, he paused to switch grip. Maya caught him mid-motion. Crosshair at the ribs. The round struck. He fell the rest of the way. Lifeless. Her breathing slowed again. She could hear the soft thud of Martinez's compressions in the distance. She had minutes, maybe less. The 6th target revealed himself through arrogance, firing blind bursts toward Eagle's line. The muzzle flash gave him away. Range 350, partial cover, moderate wind. She adjusted a click left, fired through the light. The flash disappeared. 6 down. A rush of adrenaline washed over her, but her hands stayed steady. The M24 was running hot now, the metal warm against her palms. She worked the bolt gently, feeling the smooth precision of every movement. 2 more shooters started shifting east, running across the canopy like shadows. She caught one as he moved from one trunk to another. Distance climbing 400, 460, 500 She tracked, calculated wind drift, 10 min of cross, led by 1 meter. Trigger pull perfect. The figure stumbled mid-stride, toppled into empty space. The last 2 were desperate now, trying to escape through the east tree line. Their radios crackled faintly, voices in another language, panicked, calling for extraction that would never come. "Captain," Maya said. 2 remaining, moving east downhill. "They won't make it far." "Copy that. You have full clearance." She repositioned to the high ridge muddy slope. Elevation plus 20 degrees. Her scope scanned through drifting smoke. The 8th sniper appeared first, running hard, rifle bouncing on his back. Range 620 uphill. Wind crossed 10 miles per hour. Led by 1 body length. Maya took a breath. Half exhale. Pressed the trigger. The impact folded him mid-step. He slid forward, disappearing into the ferns. Only 1 left. The last shooter froze where he stood. Through her scope, she saw him hesitate, torn between fighting and fleeing. Fear makes people visible. He bolted into the open, sprinting straight for the tree-in. Maya adjusted higher, accounting for gravity drop and crosswind. The barrel shimmered faintly with heat. She lined up the lead man. Range 450. Wind 6-mile quartering. Cross slope to the right. The first shot cracked through the silence. The lead soldier went down instantly, collapsing before he could signal. The rest scattered, vanishing into the brush. Rivera's voice came back. "Chun, what the hell was that?" "Just cleaning up the mess," she said. From below, Brooks whispered. "She's still going." Maya shifted left, using the ridge's incline to mask her position. The world slowed to calculations. Each heartbeat a metronome. Every rustle of leaves a clue. She watched for unnatural motion, branches bending against the wind. Not with it. That's where people hid. A flicker movement near the fallen log. A figure crawled low, rifle in hand. Range 370. She adjusted one click down for gravity, one right for drift. Breath steady. Trigger squeeze. The figure's head snapped back. Silence followed. Two down, she whispered. Rivera looked toward the sound, still half disbelieving. You can't take them all, sir. She cut in quietly. That's exactly what I'm doing. For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was wind cutting through the trees and Martinez counting compressions under her breath. Another target broke cover. A runner sprinting across open ground. Maya tracked him smoothly, adjusting for lead. Range increasing 500, 520, 540. Her trigger broke clean. The shot reached him like a whisper. He stumbled mid-stride, fell forward into dirt. 3, she murmured. Then the counterattack came. 2 rifles opened up in her direction, rounds slamming into the ridge around her, sending shards of rock flying. Maya rolled sideways, tucked into a depression. Dirt sprayed her face. She didn't flinch. They thought they had her pinned. They were wrong. She rolled onto her back, angled the rifle upward toward the ridge line above. Range 3 to 100. She aimed at the shadow of a muzzle flash between branches. 1 heartbeat. The gunfire stopped. For down, she said. Martinez's voice cracked over comms, exhausted. Thompson has a pulse. Weak but holding. Good, Maya said softly. Let's keep it that way. She slid to a higher perch overlooking the eastern slope. The last 2 shooters were retreating downhill, breaking formation. They were done fighting, just trying to survive. But survival was a luxury they'd forfeited when they ambushed Eagle. Maya tracked the first one, range 600 and climbing. The man was moving fast through brush, maybe 6 meters per second. She led by a full meter, adjusted 1 mil high for elevation. Wind had shifted again, gusting 12 miles. Her breathing steadied, fingers slow on the trigger. The M24 thundered. The man dropped mid-run, momentum carrying him forward into the ferns. She reloaded 1 round left in the mag. 1 enemy left in the forest. Chun, that's enough, Rivera called. QRF's 2 minutes out. Negative, she said. 1 still breathing. Through the scope, she saw him a single silhouette weaving between trunks, desperate, slipping in mud. He was running uphill toward the extraction ridge. Range 680. Wind pushing harder, visibility low. It was at the edge of possibility. Maya's voice was almost a whisper. Let's end this right. Combs so hadn't of craze. She adjusted for range, crosswind, humidity, and elevation drop all in her head. All within seconds, her world narrowed to the reticle and the rhythm of her pulse. She exhaled halfway. The sound of her heartbeat vanished. The trigger broke like glass. A heartbeat later, 680 m away, the last enemy sniper fell. The echo of the shot rolled through the forest like thunder, fading into silence. Maya stayed behind the rifle for a long moment, listening. No return fire, no movement, just the forest breathing again. Eagle actual, she said, voice steady. All hostiles neutralized. Perimeter clear. Rivera's response came quiet, almost reverent. Copy that, Chun. You just saved every one of us. As QRF rotors thundered overhead, Maya ejected her last spent casing and slipped it into her pocket. A small souvenir, not of pride, but of proof. She stood slowly, shoulders aching from recoil and hours of crawling. Around her, the forest shimmered with dust and sunlight filtering through broken branches. It would sound impossible to anyone else. But to Maya, it was just another day surviving what she'd been trained to do alone. 3 days later, Eagle Platoon sat inside a windowless debriefing room at Camp Harrison. The air smelled faintly of gun oil and coffee gone stale. Maya Chin sat at the end of the table, uniform pressed, expression unreadable. Her rifle was locked away. Her silence wasn't. Across from her, Captain Alex Rivera stood beside 3 officers. Naval Special Warfare Command, Intelligence, and a JCK liaison. The captain flipped open a thick folder stamped classified. 9 confirmed kills, he said. 14 minutes, 11 rounds fired. No, misses that correct, petty officer. Yes, sir, Maya replied calmly. Conditions weren't ideal. But I adjusted. The captain leaned back, brows furrowed. Adjusted, he repeated, almost disbelieving. Range up to 680 m, moving targets, dense canopy, Cross winds at 12 miles per hour, and you adjusted. Maya didn't answer. Her silence said enough. The intelligence officer beside him slid a second file across the table. We reviewed your record. There's a gap. 2 years, no operational data, no unit listed. That's unusual, even for Tier 1 personnel. Rivera looked at Maya. They thought she was just another operator. The quiet one, always watching, never speaking. 6 months on the team, no one had ever seen her fire a single shot. Then the forest turned into a killing ground. 9 enemy snipers hidden 30 m up. Automatic fire from every direction. 2 teammates bleeding out. QRF 40 minutes away. That's when Maya Chen slid behind a fallen log, raised her rifle, and eliminated 15 hostiles in 14 minutes. Not a single miss. This is the story of the sniper they called Low Light. The operator who proved that quiet doesn't mean weak. It means ready. And when the moment comes, she doesn't miss. Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? Heroes like her deserve to be remembered. And if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive. 6 months on the team. Quiet, polite, never fired a single combat shot. The kind of teammate who blended into the background, followed orders, carried her weight, and said almost nothing. But that was before the forest turned into a killing ground. The first bullet tore through Chief Jackson's shoulder before anyone even heard the shot. The second cracked past Brooks's ear, splintering a pine trunk inches from his face. Then the forest erupted automatic bursts. High-caliber reports echoing from above. 9 enemy snipers hidden 30 meters up, firing from a canopy so thick it swallowed light. Eagle platoon dove for cover. Branches exploded overhead. Bark shredded under gunfire. The air filled with dust and the sharp tang of cordite. Petty Officer Sofia Martinez screamed over comms. Thompson is hit. Chest wound. He's bleeding out. Captain Alex Rivera tried to raise command, voice cutting through static. This is Eagle Actual. We are under sniper fire. Multiple elevated shooters request immediate QRF and air support. The reply was ice cold. QRF 40 minutes out. Air grounded. You're on your own. 40 minutes. Thompson wouldn't last 10. Jackson was already losing blood fast. The platoon was pinned in a perfect kill box, trapped between the trees and the unseen. Every branch, every movement drew fire. Jesus, I can't even see them, Brooks shouted, emptying a burst into the canopy. Bullets tore through leaves, but hit nothing. Then a voice cut through the chaos. Steady, calm, deliberate. Captain, Maya said, low and even. Give me 30 seconds of suppressive fire. Aim high, loud, not accurate. Just make them keep their heads down. Rivera blinked. You what? I can find them, but I need 30 seconds of noise and no one talking. Can you do that? Even in the chaos, something in her tone made everyone freeze. She wasn't pleading. She was certain. Jackson, bleeding and pale, managed a rough laugh. It's her, or we die, sir. Rivera hesitated 1 heartbeat, then keyed his mic. Eagle, 30 seconds, full auto. On my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. Gunfire roared. 12 rifles unleashed chaos into the canopy. Shell casings clattered on wet ground. The air turned white with smoke and shredded bark. The silence that followed felt heavier than gunfire. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You ever going to tell me how you saw them up there? Maya gave a faint smile. It's not about seeing. It's about noticing. The forest talks if you listen long enough. Rivera shook his head. You really are something else. She looked at him. I'm just tired of fighting shadows. Outside, night had fallen over the compound. Helicopters idled in the distance, their rotors beating a slow rhythm against the dark. Maya walked toward the range alone, the same way she always did. The M24 lay disassembled on the bench. She cleaned each piece with careful precision. The soft click of metal against cloth echoing in the empty bay. The smell of solvent mixed with pine carried through the open door. Footsteps approached. Brooks appeared holding a small pack. Thompson is awake, he said. Since you saved his sorry ass. Maya didn't look up. He saved ours, too. He stayed on his feet long enough to draw fire. Brooks hesitated. He also said, you never miss. Contention to the talking on. She smiled faintly. That's not true. I just don't get second chances. He left her alone again. She finished cleaning the barrel, then reassembled the rifle with the same ritual calm she always had. When she pulled the bolt back, it made a clean metallic snap. The The sound of readiness, not violence. Somewhere beyond the firing range, floodlights cut through fog, tracing long beams across the perimeter. The night was quiet again, but not peaceful. Quiet was just the space between storms. Maya slung her rifle, walking toward the edge of the tarmac. The horizon glowed faintly blue, the first trace of dawn rising over the Trian. The day looked almost ordinary until you knew what it had cost to see it. She paused there, letting the cold wind move across her face. Then Rivera's voice came from behind her, low and steady. "You know what they're calling you now, right?" She didn't turn. "Let me guess something dramatic." "Low light," he said. "Because you never need the spotlight. You just end the fight before anyone sees it coming." Maya was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "That's fair." The wind carried the faint hum of choppers overhead as the base stirred awake. Maya Chin stood watching the sunrise, her reflection fading into the light. 6 months without a shot. 14 minutes that changed everything. Quiet doesn't mean weak. And when the moment comes, low light doesn't miss. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating, with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice. 6 months later, Maya Chin stood in the briefing room of a classified facility outside Bucharest. The walls were concrete, the air stale with filtered ventilation. 3 flags hung behind the podium: American, Romanian, and NATO. She wore civilian clothes now, dark jeans and a black tactical shirt, her M24 rifle case slung across her shoulder. The transition from military to intelligence work had been seamless. Too seamless, perhaps. The mission briefing officer, a thin man with steel-rimmed glasses, clicked through satellite images on the projection screen. 3 dead, he said, his voice carrying no emotion. All long-range precision shots. All in major European capitals: London, Berlin, Prague. The targets were intelligence operatives from different NATO countries, but the signature is identical. Single shot, extreme range, no witnesses. Maya studied the crime scene photos. The wounds were clean, precise. Professional work. The kind that required years of training and absolute calm under pressure. Rivera, now promoted to major and assigned as her liaison, stood beside her. His expression was grim. "The pattern suggests a single shooter," the briefing officer continued. "Someone with access to high-end equipment and detailed intelligence on our personnel movements. We believe it's a rogue operative, possibly someone with special operations background." Maya raised her hand. "What's the connection between the targets?" All 3 were involved in Operation Blackwater, a classified counterintelligence program from 2019. They were hunting a network of arms dealers supplying terrorist organizations across Eastern Europe. The operation was shut down after one of our assets was compromised and killed. Rivera leaned forward. "Who else had access to Blackwater intel?" "Limited circle. Maybe 20 people total. Most are accounted for. But there's one name that keeps coming up." The briefing officer clicked to a news slide. A photograph appeared, showing a woman in military gear, face partially obscured by shadow and camouflage paint. Name classified, call sign Phoenix. Former Navy SEAL, specialized in long-range reconnaissance and elimination. Participated in Blackwater as a field operative. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. The woman in the photo was partially visible, but the stance, the way she held her rifle, triggered a memory she'd tried to bury. Phoenix was declared Kia during a mission in Syria 3 years ago, the officer continued. No body recovered. But if she survived, she'd have the skills and motivation to carry out these attacks. What motivation? Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. The Blackwater team left her behind. When her position was compromised, command made the decision to abort rather than risk additional assets. She was presumed dead when her emergency beacon went dark. The room fell silent. Maya understood the implications immediately. A betrayed operative with elite training, presumed dead, now hunting the people responsible for abandoning her. It was a scenario every special operations soldier feared. Your mission, the officer said, looking directly at Maya, is to locate Phoenix and neutralize the threat. You'll be working with an international task force, but the hunt is yours to lead. Your counter-sniper expertise makes you uniquely qualified to track someone with her capabilities. Rivera spoke up. What assets do we have on the ground? Safe houses in each target city, surveillance teams, and local law enforcement cooperation. But understand, Phoenix has been operating undetected for weeks. She knows how to stay invisible. Maya closed her file folder. When do we deploy? Transport leaves in 6 hours. First stop is London to examine the crime scene. The briefing officer removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly. Agent Chun, I should mention that Phoenix's real name is Sarah Kane. According to classified records, you two served together briefly during advanced sniper training at Camp Harrison. The name hit Maya like a physical blow. Sarah Kane. They'd been roommates for 2 months during the most intensive phase of counter-sniper school. Sarah had been brilliant, deadly accurate, but there had been something unstable about her, a rage that simmered just beneath the surface. Maya remembered the night Sarah had confided about losing her team in Afghanistan, how command had written them off as acceptable losses. The briefing officer continued. Kane was discharged from active duty after psychological evaluation flagged her for potential behavioral issues. She was transferred to classified operations where her skills could be utilized with appropriate oversight. Appropriate oversight, Rivera muttered. Looks like that worked out well. Maya stood, shouldering her rifle case. The weight felt familiar, comforting. She'd spent 6 months after the forest incident wondering if she'd lost her edge, if the perfect 14-minute engagement had been luck rather than skill. Now she'd find out. London's skyline stretched gray and endless beneath a blanket of winter clouds. Maya stood on the rooftop of MI6 Thames House, examining the position where Phoenix had taken her first shot. The distance to the target location was 847 meters across the river, an extremely difficult shot even under ideal conditions. Detective Inspector James Harwell of Scotland Yard's counter-terrorism unit stood beside her, his breath visible in the cold air. The target was Marcus Webb, former MI6 operative who'd been part of the Blackwater intelligence network. He was walking to his car when the shot hit him. One round, center mass, dropped him instantly. Maya knelt beside the makeshift firing position, running her fingers along the concrete edge where slight scuff marks indicated a rifle bipod had been deployed. The shooter had used a blanket to muffle the muzzle signature and prevent brass from bouncing. Professional setup, minimum trace evidence. What kind of rifle? She asked Harwell. Ballistics suggests .338 Lapua Magnum, probably a custom build. The round was designed for maximum penetration and expansion. Whoever did this wanted to ensure a clean kill with no chance of survival. Maya used her rangefinder to confirm the distance and wind conditions. The Thames created unpredictable air currents that would affect bullet trajectory. Making this shot required not just skill, but intimate knowledge of long-range ballistics and environmental factors. Any witnesses? She asked. None that saw the actual shooting. But security footage from the building across the street shows a figure on this rooftop approximately 15 minutes before the incident. Dark clothing, average height and build. Could be anyone. Maya studied the footage on Harwell's tablet. The figure moved with purpose but avoided direct camera angles, suggesting advanced surveillance awareness. Phoenix was being careful, but not invisible. She was leaving just enough trace to send a message. Rivera's voice came through Maya's earpiece. Chun, we've got movement in Berlin. Local police found another observation post overlooking the site of the second killing. Fresh evidence suggests our target is already positioning for the next strike. Maya looked across the Thames toward the spot where Webb had died. Phoenix was escalating, becoming bolder with each attack. That suggested either increasing confidence or growing desperation. Both possibilities made her more dangerous. I need transport to Berlin, Maya said into her mic. And I want full surveillance records for every high-value target connected to Blackwater. Phoenix is hunting systematically, which means we can predict her next move. Copy that. Flight leaves Heathrow in 3 hours. Maya took one final look at the firing position, memorizing every detail. Phoenix had chosen her spot perfectly, with multiple escape routes and excellent concealment. But she'd also made her first mistake by using the same general methodology in each attack. Patterns were vulnerabilities, and Maya intended to exploit them. Berlin's industrial district stretched dark and imposing under sodium streetlights. Maya crouched in the abandoned warehouse where Phoenix had staged her second kill, this time targeting Klaus Weber, a former B&D intelligence officer who'd coordinated German participation in Blackwater. The setup was identical to London, a carefully prepared firing position with clear sight lines to the target area. But this time, Phoenix had made a critical error. She'd left behind a single spent cartridge case, lodged beneath a loose floorboard where it had rolled during extraction. Maya held the brass casing up to her tactical light, examining the primer strike and ejector marks. The rifle had a slightly worn firing pin, creating a distinctive signature on the primer. More importantly, the case showed signs of hand loading, meaning Phoenix was crafting her own ammunition for maximum precision. Gunther Schmidt, Maya's German liaison from GSG-9, examined the trajectory calculations she'd worked out on the warehouse wall. "Your target is extremely skilled," he said in accented English. This shot was 923 meters through an urban environment with multiple wind obstacles. Even with perfect equipment, this requires exceptional training. Maya nodded, but her attention was focused on something else. Phoenix had chosen this specific warehouse for a reason beyond its tactical advantages. Maya walked to the far corner, where graffiti covered the concrete walls. Hidden among the random spray paint was a small symbol, barely visible unless you knew to look for it. The mark was a phoenix rising from flames, drawn in black marker. Beneath it, in tiny letters, were the coordinates 52. 5,200 degrees north, 13.4050 degrees east. Maya quickly calculated the position, central Berlin, near the Brandenburg Gate. "She's leaving us breadcrumbs," Maya told Rivera over the radio. "Phoenix wants to be found, but on her terms." "What makes you think that?" "Because she's turned this into a chess game. Every move is calculated to draw us deeper while maintaining her advantage. She's not just killing targets. She's sending a message about abandonment and betrayal." Maya photographed the symbol and coordinates, then studied the timeline of events. Phoenix had killed Webb in London, traveled to Berlin for Weber, and according to intelligence reports, was now moving toward Prague where the third Blackwater operative, Joseph Novak, lived under protective surveillance. But the coordinates Phoenix had left pointed to Berlin, not Prague. Maya realized with growing certainty that Phoenix was doubling back, using Prague as a diversion while setting up something bigger in the German capital. "Schmidt, I need you to evacuate all former Blackwater personnel in Berlin immediately. Phoenix isn't heading to Prague, she's coming back here." "How can you be certain?" "Because the coordinates she left point to the exact center of the city. She's planning something public, something that will send her message to the entire intelligence community. And I think I know what it is." Maya pulled up satellite images of central Berlin on her tablet, focusing on the Brandenburg Gate area. Tomorrow was the anniversary of German reunification, with a massive public ceremony attended by government officials from across Europe. If Phoenix wanted to make a statement about betrayal and abandonment, she couldn't ask for a better stage. The realization hit Maya like ice water. Phoenix wasn't just hunting individual targets anymore. She was escalating to a mass casualty event that would expose the Blackwater operation's failures to the entire world. "Rivera," Maya said into her radio, "we need to shut down the reunification ceremony. Phoenix is planning to turn it into her final message." "Maya, that's not possible. Too many diplomatic interests, too much security already in place. Command won't approve a cancellation based on speculation." "Then we stop her ourselves," Maya replied, checking her weapon systems. "Because if Phoenix reaches that ceremony, hundreds of people will die just to prove a point about being left behind." The Brandenburg Gate stood illuminated against the night sky, its neoclassical columns casting long shadows across Pariser Platz. Maya lay prone on the roof of the Hotel Adlon, her M24 rifle positioned to cover the ceremonial area below. Tomorrow's reunification celebration would bring together presidents, prime ministers, and thousands of civilians in the exact spot Phoenix had marked with her coordinates. Through her scope, Maya could see multiple counter-sniper teams from German security forces positioned on surrounding buildings. But they were watching for conventional threats, not someone with Phoenix's level of training and insider knowledge of their procedures. Rivera's voice crackled through her earpiece. "Thermal imaging shows possible movement in the construction site northwest of your position. Could be your target setting up for tomorrow." Maya adjusted her scope to scan the half-finished office building 600 meters away. The skeletal structure provided excellent concealment and multiple firing angles toward the ceremony site. If Phoenix wanted to create maximum psychological impact, that would be the perfect position. "I'm moving to investigate," Maya whispered into her mic. "Maintain overwatch on the ceremony area." "Copy that." "Be advised, local police report a missing construction worker from that site. Found his uniform and equipment in a dumpster 2 blocks away." Maya felt her pulse quicken. Phoenix was already in position, using stolen credentials to access the building. Time was running out. Maya gathered her equipment and began moving across the rooftops toward the construction site, using shadows and architectural features to mask her approach. The unfinished building rose 12 stories into the Berlin night, its concrete floors open to the wind. Maya reached the perimeter fence and found the security lock expertly picked, the chain hanging loose. Phoenix had been here hours ago, plenty of time to prepare her final position. Maya entered through a ground floor opening, her rifle ready. The building was silent except for wind whistling through empty window frames. She moved carefully up the concrete stairs, checking each floor for signs of occupancy. On the 8th floor, she found what she was looking for. A sleeping bag tucked behind a support column, empty food containers, and most telling, fresh chalk marks on the floor indicating range calculations. Phoenix had been living here for days, studying angles and timing for tomorrow's ceremony. But the position was empty. Maya realized with growing dread that Phoenix had anticipated pursuit and moved to her actual firing position. Maya keyed her radio. "Rivera, Phoenix has relocated. She's not in the construction site. Where the hell is she then?" Maya studied the geometry of the ceremonial area, calculating sight lines and escape routes. Phoenix would need a position that offered concealment, multiple exits, and clear shots at the podium area. Suddenly, Maya understood. "The Reichstag building," she said. "Phoenix is inside the German parliament building itself. That's impossible. Security protocols, multiple checkpoints. Not impossible for someone who spent 3 years presumed dead, learning how to become invisible. Rivera, you need to contact German security immediately. Phoenix has infiltrated the Reichstag." Maya ran for the stairwell, her mind racing through the implications. The Reichstag's glass dome provided perfect overwatch of the Brandenburg Gate ceremony. If Phoenix had somehow gained access, she could eliminate multiple targets before security could respond. As Maya reached the ground floor, her radio erupted with urgent chatter. German security teams confirming unauthorized presence in the Reichstag. All units converging on the building. But Maya knew they were already too late. Phoenix had positioned herself exactly where she wanted to be. The Reichstag's glass dome gleamed like a crystal against the night sky. Maya approached the building perimeter where German security forces had established a command post. The building was in lockdown, with tactical teams sweeping floor by floor. Commander Mueller of GSG-9 briefed Maya quickly. "We have confirmed intruder presence on the upper levels. Maintenance worker found unconscious in a supply closet, his access card missing. The intruder used his credentials to reach the dome area." "How long ago?" Maya asked. "Approximately 4 hours. Long enough to establish a concealed position and prepare for tomorrow's ceremony." Maya studied architectural plans of the Reichstag on Mueller's tablet. The dome was a complex structure with multiple levels, catwalks, and service areas. Someone with Phoenix's training could remain hidden indefinitely while maintaining sight lines to the ceremony area. "I need access to the building," Maya said. "Phoenix knows standard tactical procedures. Your teams will be walking into prepared kill zones." Mueller hesitated. "This is a sovereign government building. We cannot allow foreign operatives." Maya's voice turned cold. "Phoenix killed 3 intelligence officers across Europe and is planning mass casualties at tomorrow's ceremony. She's former Navy SEAL with specialized countersniper training. Your teams won't see her until it's too late." Before Mueller could respond, gunfire erupted from inside the building. Single shots, precisely placed. Phoenix was eliminating the security teams methodically, using the dome's complex architecture to remain invisible while picking off anyone who approached. 2 officers down, came the radio report. "Shooter has elevated position with complete visual control. We cannot advance without additional casualties." Maya checked her weapon and moved toward the building entrance. She knew Phoenix's psychology, her training methodology, her preferred tactics. This had become personal in a way that transcended the mission. Mueller grabbed her arm. If you go in there, you're on your own. We cannot provide support without risking more lives. Maya looked at him steadily. Phoenix was my roommate during sniper school. She's not just hunting Blackwater personnel anymore. She's trying to prove that the system abandons everyone eventually. If I don't stop her, tomorrow's ceremony becomes her final statement. Maya entered the Reichstag through the main corridor, her footsteps echoing in the marble halls. The building felt empty, sterile, but she knew Phoenix was somewhere above, waiting with infinite patience for tomorrow's target-rich environment. As Maya climbed the stairs toward the dome, she thought about Sarah Kane, the woman she'd known briefly but never understood. Sarah had been brilliant but haunted, driven by losses that military training couldn't heal. Now those same skills were turned against the system that had created her. The glass dome rose above Maya like a transparent cathedral. Through the curved walls, she could see the Brandenburg Gate illuminated in the distance, where thousands of people would gather in just a few hours. Phoenix was somewhere in this crystalline maze, and Maya had to find her before dawn. The Reichstag dome was a maze of curved glass and steel catwalks suspended high above the parliament floor. Maya moved carefully through the tourist walkways, her rifle ready, scanning for any sign of Phoenix's position. The early morning light was beginning to filter through the glass, creating complex patterns of shadow and reflection. Maya's earpiece crackled with Rivera's voice. German security has the building surrounded, but they're holding position. It's just you and Phoenix now. Copy that, Maya whispered. She's using the dome's architecture to mask her heat signature. Thermal imaging won't work with all this glass and steel. Maya understood Phoenix's psychology. Sarah Kane had always been methodical, preferring preparation over improvisation. She would have selected her position days ago, probably with multiple fallback plans and escape routes mapped out in detail. The ceremony area below was already showing activity. Security teams sweeping the podium, barricades being positioned, early media crews setting up cameras. In 3 hours, the area would be filled with hundreds of dignitaries and thousands of civilians. Maya reached the upper level of the dome where maintenance catwalks provided access to the lighting systems. Here, among the structural supports and electrical equipment, Phoenix could remain concealed while maintaining clear sight lines to the ceremony. A soft metallic click echoed through the dome structure. Maya froze, recognizing the sound of a rifle bolt being cycled. Phoenix was close, probably within 50 meters, but the complex geometry of the dome made it impossible to pinpoint her location. I know you're there, Maya called out, her voice carrying through the curved space. Sarah, we can end this without more killing. Silence answered her. Maya continued moving, using the steel supports as cover while scanning for any hint of movement or reflection that might betray Phoenix's position. Then Phoenix's voice came, calm and controlled, echoing from somewhere above. Maya-chun, I wondered when they'd send you. Still the perfect soldier, following orders without question. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, the dome's acoustics making it impossible to locate Phoenix by sound alone. Maya kept moving, knowing that Phoenix was probably tracking her movement while remaining invisible herself. This isn't about orders, Sarah. It's about stopping you from killing innocent people. Innocent, Phoenix replied with bitter laughter. Were the people who left me to die innocent? Were the commanders who wrote off my team as acceptable losses innocent? The system we served abandons everyone eventually, Maya. I'm just making sure they understand that. Maya spotted a slight reflection in the glass above, possibly a scope lens catching the morning light. She adjusted her position to get a better angle while keeping the conversation going. The Blackwater operation failed. People made bad decisions under pressure. That doesn't justify mass murder. Bad decisions, Phoenix repeated. They had real-time intelligence that my position was compromised. They could have extracted me, but they chose to preserve operational security instead. I spent 18 months in a Taliban prison because preserving secrets was more important than saving lives. Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. Phoenix hadn't been killed in Syria. She'd been captured and tortured before eventually escaping. The psychological damage from that experience would have been devastating for someone already struggling with survivor guilt. Sarah, what happened to you was wrong. But killing more people won't change anything. It will send a message that abandonment has consequences. Every intelligence officer watching today's news will understand that loyalty goes both ways. Maya caught a glimpse of movement on a catwalk 30 meters above her position. Phoenix was positioned near the apex of the dome, with perfect overwatch of the entire ceremony area. Getting to that position would require crossing open ground under Phoenix's direct observation. The ceremony is starting, Phoenix continued. In 30 minutes. This dome will provide the perfect demonstration of how the system treats its people as expendable assets. Maya realized that Phoenix wasn't just planning to shoot political targets. She intended to kill civilians, creating mass panic that would expose the failure of security systems to protect innocent people. The psychological message would be devastating. Maya made her decision. She began climbing the maintenance ladder toward Phoenix's position, knowing she was probably moving into prepared kill zones. But allowing Phoenix to carry out the attack was unacceptable. As Maya climbed higher, Phoenix's voice came again, closer now. You're making a mistake, Maya. I don't want to kill you, but I won't let you stop this. Maya reached the upper catwalk level and finally saw her. Phoenix knelt behind a custom-built rifle positioned to fire through a carefully prepared opening in the dome structure. She wore all black and had modified the glass to create an invisible firing port. Sarah, Maya called out, raising her rifle. Put down your weapon. It's over. Phoenix turned slowly, and Maya saw her face clearly for the first time. The woman she'd known during training was gone, replaced by someone hardened by years of survival and betrayal. Phoenix's eyes held the kind of emptiness that came from having nothing left to lose. No, Maya. It's just beginning. Phoenix swung her rifle toward Maya's position. Both women fired simultaneously. The sound echoed through the dome like thunder, the reports mixing with the sharp crack of bulletproof glass spiderwebbing under impact. Maya felt the burn of Phoenix's round passing inches from her head, close enough to feel the shock wave. Her own shot had been true, hitting Phoenix's center mass and spinning her away from her rifle. Phoenix collapsed against the catwalk railing, blood spreading across her black shirt. But she was still conscious, still dangerous. Maya approached carefully, her rifle trained on the wounded woman. It's finished, Sarah, Maya said quietly. Phoenix looked up at her with something that might have been relief. Maybe, but they'll just create more people like us. The system doesn't learn, it just finds new bodies to feed into the machine. Below them, the reunification ceremony was beginning. Thousands of people celebrating peace and unity, while two women trained to kill fought their own war in the glass cathedral above. Maya knelt beside Phoenix and began applying pressure to her wound. She would live, face trial, probably spend the rest of her life in prison. But the immediate threat was over. Rivera's voice came through Maya's earpiece. Status report. Target neutralized, Maya replied. Phoenix is down but alive. Medical assistance required immediately. As German medical teams rushed into the dome, Maya looked down at the celebration below. The politicians gave their speeches about unity and peace, while never knowing how close they'd come to witnessing something far darker. Phoenix closed her eyes, her breathing shallow but steady. You won this time, Maya. But the system that created us is still out there, still turning people into weapons, and then discarding them when it's convenient. Maya didn't respond immediately, because despite everything, she knew Phoenix wasn't entirely wrong. The intelligence community did use people, did make calculations about acceptable losses. The difference was that Maya still believed the work mattered, that protecting innocent people justified the personal cost. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in a debriefing room at CIA headquarters in Virginia. The mission had been classified at the highest levels, with Phoenix's capture attributed to routine counterterrorism operations. The truth about Blackwater and the systematic failures that had created a rogue operative would remain buried in classified files. Director Catherine Walsh closed the thick folder containing Maya's mission report. Exceptional work, Agent Chen. Phoenix has been transferred to a secure medical facility where she'll receive appropriate psychological care before facing trial. What about the Blackwater investigation? Maya asked. Ongoing. We're reviewing operational procedures to ensure similar situations don't occur in the future. But that's above your security clearance level. Maya understood the diplomatic language. The investigation would quietly disappear. The responsible officials would receive minor reprimands or early retirements, and the system would continue unchanged. Phoenix had been right about that much. Your next assignment, Walsh continued, is training counter-sniper teams at the new Joint Operations Facility. Your experience with rogue operators makes you uniquely qualified to prepare others for similar threats. Maya nodded acceptance, but her mind was elsewhere. Sarah Kane had been brilliant, dedicated, and ultimately broken by a system that demanded everything while giving nothing back. Maya had stopped her from killing innocent people, but she hadn't solved the fundamental problem that had created Phoenix in the first place. As Maya left the briefing room, she thought about the conversation she'd had with Phoenix in the Reichstag dome. The system doesn't learn, Phoenix had said. It just finds new bodies to feed into the machine. Maya's reflection caught in the polished hallway windows as she walked toward the exit. She was still serving, still following orders, still believing the work mattered. But Phoenix's words echoed in her mind, a warning about the cost of absolute loyalty to institutions that viewed people as disposable assets. Outside, Virginia's autumn air was crisp and clean. Maya drove through the countryside toward her temporary apartment, past farms and small towns where people lived normal lives without considering the hidden wars fought to preserve their security. Her phone buzzed with a text from Rivera, now preparing for his own new assignment. Good work in Berlin. Heard you're training the next generation of ghost hunters. Try to teach them to think for themselves, not just follow orders blindly. Maya smiled despite herself. Rivera understood the lesson Phoenix had tried to teach, even if he'd never express it directly in official channels. The best operators weren't just skilled, they were capable of independent judgment when the system failed them. That evening, Maya cleaned her rifle with the same methodical precision she'd learned years ago. The M24 had performed flawlessly in Berlin, but she wondered how many more rogue operators were out there, created by the same institutional failures that had destroyed Sarah Kane. As she assembled the weapon, Maya made a private decision. When she trained the next generation of countersnipers, she would teach them more than just technical skills. She would teach them to recognize when the system was wrong, when following orders meant abandoning the principles they'd sworn to defend. The war against people like Phoenix wasn't won with superior firepower or tactical advantages. It was won by creating soldiers who could think for themselves, who could remain loyal to their values even when their institutions failed them. Maya Chun had learned that lesson in the glass cathedral above Berlin, watching a brilliant woman destroy herself trying to prove a point about betrayal and abandonment. She wouldn't let the system create another Phoenix, not if she could help it. 6 months after Berlin, Maya stood before her first class of advanced counter-sniper students at the Joint Training Facility. They were young, eager, convinced they were learning to fight external enemies. Maya looked at their faces and saw herself years earlier, before she'd understood that sometimes the most dangerous enemies were created by the very institutions they served. Today's lesson, she began, is about the most important target you'll ever face. Not enemy snipers, not terrorist threats. The target is the moment when following orders conflicts with doing what's right. Because that's when you discover whether you're a soldier or just another weapon waiting to be discarded. The students exchanged confused glances. This wasn't the tactical briefing they'd expected. But Maya continued, thinking about Sarah Kane and the choices that had led a decorated warrior to become a threat to innocent people. Your first mission is to learn when to say no. Because if you don't, someday you might find yourself on the wrong end of a scope, wondering how you became the enemy you trained to fight. Maya Chin had stopped Phoenix in the glass dome above Berlin. But the real victory would be preventing the next Phoenix from ever being created. That was a mission worth dedicating her life to, even if the official records would never acknowledge it. The quiet operator who had eliminated 9 targets in 14 minutes had learned that sometimes the most important shot was the one you chose not to take. And sometimes the most important order was the one you chose not to follow. In the end, loyalty to principle mattered more than loyalty to institutions. That was the lesson Phoenix had died trying to teach, and the lesson Maya would spend the rest of her career trying to pass on. The war never ended. It just changed battlefields. And the most important battle was always fought in the space between orders and conscience, where good soldiers decided who they really served. Subscribe to hear more stories of courage, sacrifice, and the choices that define us. Because heroes aren't born from blind obedience. They're forged in the moments when doing right matters more than following rules.